So you have this experience with Howard University. That sounds like one of those experiences that I often hear from students who went to, an all-black school. I, on the other hand, went to University of Pittsburgh, but that's how we met. Mm-hmm. So what was it like leaving Howard and then coming to the University of Pittsburgh to do your graduate work?
Well, it was a wonderful opportunity that Dr. Nathan Davis gave me. As having graduated from Howard, I was trying to figure out exactly what to do next. I had gotten a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts to study. So I went to New York for that summer after I graduated, and I studied there with Kenny Barron. Mm. And he was really wonderful and very, supportive of where I was as a student and trying to make that transition into professional world. And I think that I really became clear that I needed a little bit more time before I was going to really break into New York. And right at the time that I was coming to grips with that, Dr. Nathan Davis gave me a call. Mm-hmm. I met him at Howard through Kumala Mwaku, who was a student of his and was now teaching ethnomusicology there. And it ended up being one of the best things that could have happened at that time for me. He offered me a teacher's assistantship to come here. And I came here and I think it was, spent about 5 years in Pittsburgh as a result of it. I had a wonderful opportunity to meet all the musicians and the folks here, including you, and do my studies. And it really gave me the kind of the final foundations that I needed to go back to New York and be really prepared in a way that I felt I wasn't prior to coming here.
So right after the University of Pittsburgh, I'm getting a feel from what I've read about your life after you left Pitt, is that you went to New York, you started performing on the concert stage, correct?
Correct.
What was that like after being a student all those years and now it's like you're thrown out there to the wolves? How was that?
Yeah. Well, excuse me. It was great. I mean, I think it was really the right series of things that lined up. Nathan creating that kind of cushion for me to be here to kind of project in terms of what my goals were as a performer to go to New York. Having worked with the musicians here, like people like Roger and Joe Harrison and Nathan, and it upped my ante, to have that time to kind of pull that together, to work with those great musicians, and also to get a concept together as a piano player. How did I want to really focus my my kind of point of departure, as a musician? What was the core of my projection going to be? I had time to figure some of those things out here. And then when I went to New York, I had the benefit of a combination of different places that I'd lived. I mean, I lived in Washington for those years at Howard, and then of course my Detroit roots, and then Pittsburgh too. And all of those different regional experiences kind of blending together gave me my way of looking at the world of music. And so I started working right away because of Oliver Lake. He gave me my first session. I went straight into New York into a session. And it was I think the connection from my friend Dwight Andrews, who I was just actually talking to you about, a minister and composer and scholar and wonderful jazz musician, who I met as a young person in Detroit. And he introduced me to Oliver, and Oliver then gave me this opportunity to play in his jump up band at the time. Which, I was mentioning, they were ready to record right away. So I went straight to New York and made a record, which is very unusual, you know. But after that, I had a little drop off. I came back to reality.
You said, "Oh, this is going to be easy," and then reality set in.
That's right. And you know, it took me a bit of time to get my footing in terms of the, you know, the word of mouth that has to take place. At the time, that's how kind of things went. It took a minute for people to trust, you know, can this person really play or whatever. But having someone like Oliver Lake to validate you by coming in and playing on a record that way was significant, you know, wonderful way to kind of be ushered into New York.
Yes, Oliver is fantastic, and have your first experience with Oliver Lake and the introductions that could create must have been marvelous.
It was, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we still, you know, are hooked up today as musicians. I mean, I've had the chance to play with him and Andrew Surreal and Reggie Workman in Trio 3, and Oliver's been good enough to work with me as a leader, and so we've exchanged music for all these years. It's been wonderful.